Okay. Um, this is just looking at the future lunar events that are coming up. Could I have the next slide, please? Um, this is just the names of the occulted stars that are grazed during 2013. This is again from the RASC handbook from the Lunar Occultations section. So as you can see, these are listed in ZC number order. There are just a couple of stars at the end, variable stars that don't have ZC numbers. But you can see some of the major events like Zubin al-Janubi is, Alpha 1 Libri is ZC2118. And Spica was called it earlier this year, ZC 1925. Then you go to the upper right, you have Beta 1 Scorpio 2 ZC 2302. And then the interesting stars that have already been talked about a little bit are farther down on the right side there, ZC 2826, which is Rho 1 Sagittarius, the 3.9 magnitude star, which is, and also ZC 2969, which is called Beta Capricorni here. It's really Beta 2 Cap, but it's the brighter companion of the two stars, Dubib Major. And both of those stars, there's some claim of being double, but I think it's somewhat shaky. The video observations don't seem to show as much. The one thing about ZC 2969 is an important star for me because that's the one that got me thinking about grazing occultations when I was 15 years old. Because I saw that star just miss from my home in California, and that's what I just saw it moving right over the mountains of the southern edge of the moon, and so we're in that situation where we're having occultations of that star now again. So I don't know too many Saros cycles since 1957 when my interest was first sparked in these events. And anyway, could we go to the next slide, please? So this just shows the table of lunar grazing occultations during the rest of 2013. You really can't see it very well here. Let's see if I can. Right, but I can actually see it better on the screen up there than I. yeah, right. I can't. I can't really read it. I can read it better here. It's just showing the ones for the rest of this year, and there is some mistakes, some errors in these events that Hal Pavenmeyer pointed out. On October 11th, it lists up here, it lists ZC 2826, which is that Rho 1 Sagittarius. But then notice the Dubib Major, then the ZC 2969, I guess it is. The next two events it has October 12th and 13th, but nearly the same universal time for the northern and southern limits of that event. I don't know if it's because the same star has two limits or what, but I'll have to ask about that. But the correct predictions are given by the occult program, the correct date and everything, and the times in the total occultation lists, which are also in the RASC handbook. And see, somewhere I wrote down that the Rho 1 Sagittarius occultation, the 3.9 magnitude star, actually occurs. The Eastern Standard Time is October 11th at 8 p.m., 8:45 p.m. In Greenbelt, Maryland, with a 50% sunlit moon. So that first October 11th should be the 12th UT. Yeah, it's 1 hour UT, so that it's probably a problem of the 0 hour transition and figuring out the central time versus the time when it's dark, you know. We had this problem with the Evans program that we figured out many years ago, and Dave Harold got it corrected in his too. But then so it's Friday evening, October 11th local time. It should be October 12th universal time. And then the beta 2 Capricorni occultation, the 3.1 magnitude star, is October 12th local time at 9:31 p.m. And so that's October 13th is the correct universal time. So of those three entries, only the last one is correct. So anyway, so that's sort of embarrassing. I don't know if we can. I'm afraid the 2014 list has already been published, so it's too late to get a correction to it. But it's strange that it took Hal Povenmire to figure out something was wrong. Anyway, so I'll just click to let's go to the next slide. And this just shows the grazing occultations during the rest of the year. And those two events, the paths, the 174 and 175, this is the southern limit for the Rho Sagittarius occultation, and then the 175 is the southern limit for the next one. And so there is a total occultation, though, that's visible across the whole country. There's the northern limit for one of them, the beta cap is up here in British Columbia, but you can see all the populated areas here. But there's a sunrise line for both events that's somewhere in the central part of the country. Yeah, so, and as I mentioned, October 11th is the same night as the Henan occultation, but I think these are really October 12th. I think there's not a conflict in these dates with the Henan asteroid occultation, which is the morning of October 11th, local and universal time. So let's go to the next slide. And now this shows the grazes in December. You can just see, I'm not going to talk about these. Most of these events are pretty good. So you can see any events that are near you, and we don't have anything in this area except a little north of Ottawa, and farther north of here there's a path 220A and 208A. Let's see, go back to the previous one, and we just see the ones in the area. And you can see one good event, 186. Yeah, 186 that goes right along right over Toronto pretty much. And 173 is a low altitude event. The A means it's low altitude, and S means sunlight interferes or twilight. So those are sort of limits of where you can see the occultations. Remembering 186 and 173, especially 186, go back to the next one, previous one. No, let's go. You're going forward. Go backwards, please. Okay, backwards again. Okay. Whoops, too far. Forward one. Okay. 186 is on November 6th. It's a 6.2 magnitude star with a 15% sunlit moon. So that should be a good graze early in the evening, going right over Toronto area. See, 6.2 magnitude ZC 2501. I can't read it too well, but if you look it up, you should see it. And all IOTA members, paid IOTA members, should have received predictions near the first of the year with the detailed predictions. And we also have a website that has, well, the interesting thing is Brad Timerson's interactive map website. So, okay, we're getting the copy of the RASC handbook for 2013, and they're looking at, they can look up that event now, that 186 event. So, but that's the way to use those maps, to just find the events, the numbers of events near you, and then look up and see the information about them. Terry. Mm-hmm. Right. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, and then, yeah, I mean, using these maps, you mean just to find out what's coming up, and then you can go to Brad Timerson's and you can do the detailed. Mm. Right, right. So anyway, so that's um, um, yes, it is. It's in the Gray's map on my website, the Mid-Atlantic website. Well, it's there is a. If you look at the RASC handbook, it gives a link. I think it tells where those are, but it's. As I remember, it's www. No, it's no. It's http://iota.jhuapl.edu. That's my main website, /graysmap.htm. As I remember, those all have to be in cap letters for 2013. Yes?
So the question is about the errors that you pointed out. Is it possible to send us corrections to the online supplement from the handbook? So it appears that it's only online, but the handbook supplement errors.
Yeah, well, I'll have to get with Eberhard Riedel, who wrote the software that generates all this, and get him to do a correction. But in the meantime, if you see an event, you should confirm it with the occult program. Download, if you don't have occult on your computer, it's free. You can download it from the IOTA website and calculate the event yourself. That's the best thing to do. And of course, all the stuff on Brad's website is generated with occult, and so the dates there are all correct. It's only here that there's a possible error in some of the dates. Let's see, Hal Povenmire mentioned another event that's on November 26th, the ZC 1566 event, which it's one of these things that has a possible visual observation of a possible duplicity that we're finding most of them are not real duplicity. But I think there's no problem with the dates where the event's far away from 0 hours UT. This is a morning event at 10 hours. So it's on November 26th. It's path number 197. So if we could go forward again. Right, exactly. That's what I'm pointing out. Right, okay. Well, there hasn't been any real questions that I think I've addressed. There was an answer. There was a question about will there be a correction to the RASC handbook tables? It's something that we could do. We'll certainly try to get that done for 2014. But Eberhard, as I mentioned, Eberhard Riedel in Germany was the one who generated that, and we have to get him to correct the program. But as I said, any event that you actually want to do, if you see it from the RASC handbook list, be sure to confirm it with occult, because the occult dates and times are all correct. Yes. Okay, well, why don't you?
Well, I think what I'll do is I'll give you the mic and let you answer the question, because they need to understand that there is a supplement online.
Okay. So Frank here in Toronto, and there is online an RASC handbook, Observer's Handbook supplement, and there can be corrections there so that someone could compile a list of
corrections to the table, send them to the RASC and they'll appear on the online version of the web page for the handbook, and the corrections should appear there.
Thank you. Giving the microphone back to David.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's see now. Okay, go back one chart, please. Okay, this was 197. This is the path for that 1566 graze. It's so it's a 6 magnitude star, but the Sofrosny event the same night goes over here, so it is a definite conflict. You can't do one or the other, but if you're living in the mid-Atlantic states or these other areas and you're not willing to travel to Sofrosny, then you have this other opportunity to travel to. If you went from Toronto, you could drive down to southern Ohio, but it's a little bit of a trip. So that's the, and it goes up in your area, Steve, if you want to try it up there, and but rather than, yeah, rather than go, but Sofrosny would be better if you can do it. Anyway, that's the. Could we go just forward now? Again, we're done with 2013 events now, I think. Okay, these are the stars occulted during 2014, and we still have Beta 1 and 2 Cap, and we also have Rho Sag. Both of those stars are sort of, I don't remember if they're north or south of the ecliptic, but they have a single long series of occultations that last a few years. Unlike Spica, which is close to the ecliptic, and you just get two short series, 9 years apart. These ones have, we don't have any first magnitude occultations. We still have Zub and El Janubi, Alpha 2 Libri, anyway, well, I wasn't. Well, that's the list. You can see it in the handbook and on the web page, on the presentations page. So next slide. And this is the table of events during early 2014. I don't think I had anything special to point out in the list. We have an occultation of Mercury, but it's only I think it's only 1% sunlit moon, so the events, unless you have one of these special systems that can see things a few degrees from the sun. I mean, there are people who've observed the moon, only with an elongation of like half a degree or something, some ridiculous amount. Recently, can you actually hope to observe an occultation like that? You can observe a graze of Mercury in the daytime, or an occultation, if it's far enough from the sun to see. It's bright enough. But, next slide. And this just shows the grazes during the first part of the year. We can see that there's a path 23 which goes over Toronto. So let's see. Is there another slide? I don't know if I think I did show some of the first half. So we'll try to just keep numbers in mind. 23, 62 is right at moonset, but it may be observable if it's clear. So we have. I'll write these numbers down, and we'll go back to the chart to see when they occur. So it's 23 and 62. Okay, next slide. You can see where other events are for events near you. Los Angeles, looks like California gets a whole bunch of them there, Southern California. Next slide. Okay, and this shows nothing real close to Toronto here. I mean, there's one up in farther, sort of in the Nike area where we were planning to go, number 80. That's number 80. Okay. Okay. So next slide. In June and July, usually during the summer months up here in the north, you don't get as many events, and there aren't any. So go back to the list now, and we'll just look and see what those 23, 62, and then maybe 80 events are. Excuse me. Yeah. 60. Okay, 62 is up there at ZC 658, a 4 point. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's okay. It's 4.3 magnitude star with a 20% sunlit moon. So it should be a very good event. And one thing I'm sort of interested in, Grace, I'll have a presentation this afternoon where I can use the Mighty Mini systems for if the star is bright enough and if the moon is a thin enough crescent and if it's on the dark side. I'm going to pack this away back, but this is a MIDI telescope, so you can see we can pack about 3 of these in a suitcase easily. And it doesn't have the finder scope and the camera on it, but you can see the size in this. Yeah. Yeah. But this quantum ray mount is very sturdy and costs about $60. Yeah, it's not. Well, if we open up the blinds. Right. Yeah, and you can see, I mean, it's 80 millimeter telescope, and stands about 2 feet off the ground, so it's quite compact and easy to hide. Okay. Sorry, I was drifting away from there, but let's look at the. Go back to those 3 slides. We saw 23, which was the nice event, but we want to look at 62 and 80 also. Oh, wait, we looked at 62. Go back to the. Go back 2 slides. Okay, 2 lists, Steve. Okay, Steve is doing it. Okay, the so this number 62, the date is April 4th, but it might be April 3rd or April 4th. I mean, we'll have to check that, but it's this nice bright star, 4.3 magnitudes. A star in Taurus with that ZC number. I think it's 658, so we can check the list afterwards. And 23, the one that's in January 29th that goes right over the city. It's only a 3% sunlit moon with a 5.8 magnitude star. It's a morning event, 11 hours UT. And then finally 80, the one that's northwest of here. Both of those go right over the Toronto area, but the one number 80 is northwest of here, and that's on May Day, May 1st. Again, only a 3% sunlit moon, so that's nice. It might be May 2nd, so it's 590, 6.3 magnitude. So there are some, I mean, that would be worth traveling up there for. I would certainly try to do that one, depending on the profile. But I'll be talking about actually observing these events in the top. At the moment, the grazes aren't nearly as, I mean, we had a huge amount of activity in the early days of IOTA for grazes when the lunar profile was uncertain. People wanted to know more about it and everything, and the interest in Apollo was high and everything, and we were young and energetic and didn't know better, whatever. But nowadays, since we have Julia profiles to the edge of the moon map, and then we had the Hipparchus program to do the star positions, but we're still finding that there are residual errors in the predictions, which seem to be primarily due to the proper motion errors, which were mentioned earlier, creeping in enough to cause observable shifts. So that's the main value of the observations now. It's sort of a secondary value. It's not as primary science as determining sizes and shapes of asteroids. But you also get with grazes, you get a very, especially the grazing geometry gives you a much higher resolution than you can get with total occultations, so that you can resolve things easier. The one thing the photoelectric, some mention that with Bruce Holenstein's talk, he's correct that video can't resolve diffraction problems during total lunar occultations, but they can during grazes because the cadence is spread out. So you can get more information about diameters and duplicity during grazes. Terry.
Dave Harold mentioned the rapid drop-off in the terms of the number of lunar occultations that are being done in North America. And yet those numbers seem to stay very high in Japan and other places. You might comment on why they value this kind of an event and we don't seem to value it as much.
Yeah, I don't know. The Japanese are just more assiduous in observing in general, I think, and so they've kept paying attention to grazes, whereas we haven't. We've concentrated more on doing new things with asteroid occultations, and also most of our efforts are the major events are mobile, and so we devote our resources to the asteroid events and much less to the lunar events, whereas the Europeans are all at fixed site observatories and they just try to observe whatever they can. Total occultation, they don't do many grazes, but they do a lot of total occultations. And they do have graze expeditions still in Europe occasionally too. But unfortunately there's been a drop-off, and the drop-off in asteroid occultations is not just due only to the Hipparchus errors building up or the errors, proper motion, and that's contributing, but the real reason I think is fewer people are observing. All of us are getting older and people are dying, or they can't observe, they can't travel as much anymore and so forth. And it's a problem. You saw the numbers of IOTA, how the numbers of our organization are falling. And that's the real reason, and we're trying. It's important that we try to do efforts like NEAF to get more people out and show how interesting our work is. So there hasn't. So hopefully the Regulus event, we hope we can get more people interested in some of the high quality events. Anyway, I don't think there's anything. Let's see. We were checking. Yeah, we already checked those. All three of those events near our area here. Next slide. Next. I think we're done. We'll just keep going through the slides until they run out. Okay. I didn't show the second half of the year. Bob Sandy says that gasoline prices cause people also falling off. Right. And there are charts, of course, for the rest of the year in the handbook, but I think this is the last one I showed because I don't know when the next IOTA meeting will be. We'll figure that out at some point here. Okay, great. Well, we're right at about the time for John Broughton's talk anyway, so I hope Brad Timerson has... Okay.